This is the Profit with Nick Black. It's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain. We here to fix that. You want the news on the new stocks? This where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to Profit. Hey, hey, you talking to the Profit? Hey, hey. We talking condos and nice clothes and dropping Lambos. I remember them night codes, we couldn't stand those. We tried to drop on them house roads, but had to stay low. Now there's solutions to hard bills we couldn't pay for. I talked to Profit to get some profit, we couldn't change the top. If it's a stock and I need a cop it, I wait for him to drop it. Ain't no option, let's get it popping. We chilling in the drop. I need some crypto, put it in my pocket. By any means I rock. This is the Profit with Nick Black. It's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain, we here to fix that. You want the news on them new stocks, this where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to Profit. Hey, hey, you talking to the Profit? Hey, hey, you talking to the Profit?
Let's see. Who do we have? Okay, let's start with our friends over at Theta. Theta. We have VideoTuber Tarjian, all the way LA, Biotech Breakout, 29LH06, Andy Panda, CC Brown, Spirella, Unsung, what up? Hello to everyone. Let's go over here to the YouTube. What do we got? We have Biotech Breakout. We have Professor XRP, Scott Hill. We got Todd B. We've got Brady, of course, in the house. Bitcoin Candy, Michael, Tom. I was actually going to hit you up, Jerry, and see if you wanted to be on, but I was fighting with Ron over when he's going to use his blower to blow his little beads off of his driveway. We came to consensus. He said he will either do it really early or really late. He won't do shit. His people will do it. Anyway, kind of thanks, Ron. Anyway, whatever. We'll see. We'll see if Ron F's me again. Ron likes to stick it to me. But anyway, so we'll see. Okay, so Barno, what's going on? And who do we have? We're scrolling. Bitcoin Candy. Courtesy of Maxine Waters. Thank you. Demayan, Garth. Brandon. Yeah, we were talking about robots this morning, robot dogs. He doesn't like robot dogs. I'm getting a robot dog. There you go. Coda. Tube That Pipeline. Nara. Hoop and Tony. Dave and Ashley, Sylvia. Okay, fair play. So you couldn't have done it anyway, Jerry. Fair play. Okay, Jeffrey. What up? And Joe Fernandez, ¿qué onda? So good to see everyone. Sniper Princess. Joe Pirate on both sides of the fence. Good to see you. S2K Hobo. Hello, Gordon Bennett. All right, I think that kind of gets the normal peeps. For those of you, I did put out a link to yesterday's show in the Telegram, so you should see that there. For those of you that wanted and we just talked about options. It was all about Bitcoin options. Okay, so let's see. That pretty much gets everyone. So let me tell you what we're going to do today. I've been told that I don't have enough structure. Okay. Anyway, so we are going to go to our commercial break. We're going to come back. Michael, good to see you. And when we get back, we're going to do, well, you know what's going on in the markets. They're getting pummeled. They're getting flummoxed. Why? Because every idiot hasn't left yet. We talked about this. We've been talking about this for months. None of this is new. This shouldn't shock anyone. Months. For 2 months, we've been saying this has to happen. And we've been saying, please unwind your leverage. Get out of leverage. These markets have to crash. There's too many effing idiots. You guys know this. This didn't surprise anyone. The only people, no one should be surprised. None. So it is, you don't need a Telegram. Joe, you don't need a Telegram invite. It's crypto in coffee. So think of it as crypto on coffee. And that's the Telegram group. It's a really good group. Just hang out. and you can ask a question. And if you at me in the question, I check it 3 or 4 times a day. And the cool thing is we have a lot of really smart people in Telegram. So if I don't catch it, but you can always email me directly. You guys know that, right? You can do it through Twitter if you feel safer at Nicholas Black 60, or you can hit me up at cryptoandcoffeelive at gmail.com. There you go. So yeah. And I'll eventually get to it. I don't leave any email unanswered. You might not get a big, long diatribe, but you'll get something. I assure you, you'll get something. Let's see, mass encoding. Ask Jeff about the degree of impact coming as a result of record reserve repo at Fed. Reverse repos at Fed. Yeah, I mean, he actually did a video last week on reverse repo and kind of what's going on. So I would definitely check that out. If you guys don't watch, you need to watch Making Sense with Emil Kalinowski and Jeff Snyder. It's really good. And they did 1 or 2. You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch, Ron. You son of a bitch. I can't tell if that's Ron. There's other neighbor on the other side. It might not be Ron. I know Ron wouldn't do me like that. Not 6 hours after the conversation. Certainly not. Well, we'll see. Oh, weed eaters. You think the price of gas would stop these dudes out of the weed eating market? Whatever. That's a weed eater, not a blower. So that's different. Okay. So let's, go watch the videos from last week with Emil, because Emil and Jeff do talk about reverse repo and what all that means. It's just kind of a general unwind of what they've been doing anyway. And I don't want to get into that because that's really their wheelhouse. But the long end of it is the Fed can go in as a liquidity provider, and they can either do their little balance sheet machinations and strip treasuries out of the market, or they can go back in and be a treasury seller to grab cash. It's the other side of them thinking they are providing liquidity, or them thinking that they are providing control on the market. I don't think it's as big a deal as other people say it is. I mean, George Gammon seems to think it's the end of the world, but then again, every one of his videos are end of the world videos. I like George. He's awesome, but come on, buddy, dial it down. People are using postage stamps that are 1/2 the size of other postage stamps. It's going to take all your money in 3 easy steps. Okay, George, dial it the fuck down. Okay, we get it. Small postage stamps. It's going to bankrupt the whole world. How are we going to get by? And then at the end, he puts a little asterisk. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying, you should look at it. Okay. So I think everybody needs to dial down the noise that they're receiving, the inputs. There's a lot of noise. CNBC is all noise. The Miami Bitcoin conference, noise. All of these assholes on YouTube, me included, it's all noise. You guys know this, right? It's noise. We're going to do a questionnaire today. Whether you should be in the crypto market. And if you answer yes to more than one of the 5 questions, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to get out of the market, period. Gone. See you later. Bye. Why? Because it's not good for you. It's not good for you. You're not ready. Stick with something comfortable. So we're going to talk about that. Anyway, oh man, I didn't even have any background music playing. Let me see. Jasnot, good to see you. V Rulu, good to see you. V Rulo, good to see you. And let's see, Video Tuber, we already got you. Who else? Tube That Pipeline. Other Scott, Garth. Who did I miss? If I missed anyone, Hoop and Tony, let me know I miss you. Otherwise, we're going to go to commercial. We'll be right back. It's not even a commercial. At some point, I'm fancy when we actually have a commercial, but we don't have a commercial. Okay. So as a backdrop, I'll just leave the questions up there. I did find a cool article about, for those of you that are following the situation in El Salvador, which is kind of cool. It's actually really good news. It's really interesting news. It's not necessarily good news. It's definitely not bad news. I'll play some intrigue music. But it is news. It's the first country to adopt Bitcoin. What does that mean? So let me give you the bullets and let me read you an article that I thought was very interesting, a good way to look at this. Nervous about the quiz. I really like crypto. I don't want to leave. There's a lot of people that love crypto. There's a lot of people that need to leave. Anyway, here we are. In brief, turning Bitcoin into legal tender. This is in El Salvador. This was announced at the Bitcoin conference by their clearly authoritarian president, Nayib Bukele. Now, do you guys remember when FDR was running, he had, I believe it was George Warren was an advisor, and he said, when you have this kind of cascading decay into anarchy, financial, economic anarchy, and deflation, you have a choice between a rise in prices and a rise in dictators. This is the fertile ground. Look around you. This is the fertile ground for a rise in dictators. Why? Because when people are unhappy and they're panicky, they just want something different. And sometimes that something different can look a lot like a psychopath. And that psychopath can look a lot less like a psychopath, right? We believe the lie if the lie is the only thing that gives us hope, if the truth gives us no hope, right? And anybody can tell me what book that was from, I'll get you a Crypto and Coffee t-shirt, and I'm not going to repeat it. And that's not word for word. All right, so he is putting forth, and he's got like an 85% approval rating, so this is going to happen. He put forth to their Congress in an announcement, I believe that was Saturday, that El Salvador would be accepting Bitcoin for a legal tender. So turning Bitcoin into legal tender would allow debts contracted in Bitcoin to be settled in Bitcoin and would allow banks to transact in Bitcoin. Cool. You can keep Bitcoin at your bank, blah, blah, blah. It won't turn Bitcoin into an everyday currency. This guy from Cato Institute said the president may want to Bitcoinize the country just to reduce its reliance on the US dollar. I think a lot of countries will follow that path. It's not that they like Bitcoin. It's that they like the dollar less. So, yeah. Keep that in mind as we go through this. Will it be good for people in El Salvador? Well, it'll be very good. If it's a recognized currency, then they're not going to tax it. Not in the same way. Simply holding Bitcoin and having it appreciate wouldn't be a taxable event, right? Because it's a currency. Now, what is interesting about that is its follow-on effects in the United States. You say, what does that mean? Well, commercial law in the United States, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, says to the effect that if you do commerce with another country and everything is hunky-dory, it's not on the ban list, it's not some sketchy banana republic, but you have international commerce with this country and they have a currency that is legal tender, it is recognized as legal tender in the United States. So what does that mean? Who effing knows? I'm sure courts are going to get all over this if this passes, and it looks like this will pass. This too shall pass. So we need to probably look a little bit deeper. So there's a cool write-up. This is one of the few times that I've liked something out of CoinDesk. The little laser eyes. How goddamn stupid is that? Whatever. But I wanted to read this to you because it's an opinion piece, but it's a well thought out opinion piece. So I thought let's broach it. El Salvador adopts Bitcoin, hype or history in the making. What does it mean for a country like El Salvador to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender? It depends on whom you ask. Yes, this is an opinion piece, everyone. This is not fact. This is we'll call it a friction. It's not quite fiction. It's just it's an opinion from a guy named JP. Seems like a clever fellow, or I don't know, pronoun undiscovered. 20 years ago, El Salvador replaced its domestic currency, the colon, with the US dollar. Now the country's president, we're going to call him NB because we're giving people Cool names like that. NB wants to take what seems to be an equally drastic step with his nation's money. He wants to declare Bitcoin illegal tender along with a dollar. But is it a major step? The significance or not of NB's adoption of Bitcoin as legal tender depends on the meaning he is ascribing to the term. This is where the courts are going to have to butter this up. Few things in monetary economics are more foggy than the concept of legal tender. Using the vernacular meaning of the term, NB's announcement is a big deal. If something is legal tender in a popular sense, it has been declared to be official money. Salvadorians would be able to walk into any supermarket and see Bitcoin denominated prices. That's not what I've heard. What I've heard is, BZ, what's going on, buddy? And Tony, hello. What I've heard is that you will be able to hold Bitcoin in a bank account. You'll be able to spend Bitcoin where it's accepted, but everything will be still priced in US dollars. So this will be X amount of dollars. How do you want to pay? You want to use US dollars? You want to use Bitcoin? I'll use Bitcoin. Okay, great. You're a dick. There you go. So get it? Cool. Salvadorians will be able to walk in a supermarket and see Bitcoin dominated prices. I don't think that happens. Okay. JP Koenig column desk worked as a equity researcher at Canadian brokerage firm. Oh God, Canadian. Ugh. Okay, well, you know what? We forgive him his future transgressions. But the vernacular differs from the lawyer's much narrower definition of legal tender. Indeed, there are a couple of different legal definitions. A lawyer would probably dismiss NB's movement as unimportant. Well, lawyers are people typically with no marketable skills, and that's why they go to practice law. All right. Just kidding if you're a lawyer. Half my family are lawyers. They're all douchebags. I can admit that. You know what? They get drunk all the time. And when they've had like 4 shots of vodka, they can admit that. Legal tender, according to a lawyer, the legal definition of legal tender is a term that a debtor can always depend on to discharge his or her debt. Remember we talk about what is money? That which extinguishes debt. This would be legal tender in the thinnest definition of money. The lawyer's definition of legal tender is a term that a debtor can always depend on to discharge his or her debt. Say Jack borrows 20 from Charlie, that debt comes due. Legal tender is a government-approved list of instruments that Jack can always rely on to cancel his $20 debt. It's still $20. Where it gets risky is what happens when you start handing out Bitcoin and Ethereum and things like that. And if you loan in those terms and you're forced to return in those terms, the game gets a little sticky. I still think we have to peg prices to stable coins, at least for now, and probably forever, because we need some unit of account, right? Okay. All right. In the US, banknotes and coins are legal tender. Importantly, not a single type of digital money makes it onto that list. So if Charlie asks Jack to pay him back in the 20 with a Zelly or a Venmo transfer, Jack can refuse. Instead, Jack can force Charlie to accept a $20 bill or 80 quarters or 400 nickels, because these items are also legal tender, meaning any item that is legal tender can be used to extinguish or discharge debt. We all get that, yes? So that's what I think this is looking like. It'll be on a new list of instruments that you can use to discharge debt. But that would have ramifications, right? That would start to spread out, and that's why it gets interesting. In Canada, Jack would not be able to force Charlie to accept 400 nickels. The government limits the amount of coins that qualifies legal tender. Canadian nickels are only legal tender up to $5. Interesting, right? I wouldn't spend a Canadian nickel on that. Not if it's $5.05. The lawyer's definition of legal tender has a much more restricted meaning than the layperson's definition. Creditors and debtors can easily avoid legal tender requirements by negotiating the terms of a settlement ahead of time. If Jack and Charlie both agree at the outset of the debt that it will be settled in the future with a bank transfer, then Jack can subsequently force Charlie to accept legal tender. Can't force him to use cash or some other means of payment. So basically, if in advance we decide that this is going to be paid in a certain kind of currency, then, or a certain kind of a path of currency, then that would be the path. If it's in a contract, it's in a contract, right? And so that's obviously where smart contracts will get much more interesting. And it's weird that we just had this talk, and yet I hear the weed blower. I wonder if Ron thinks we're on East Coast time, because Ron's a dick. All right. As you can see, the lawyer's definition of legal tender has much more restricted meaning. We get it. What makes the lawyer's version even more niche is it doesn't typically apply to purchases and sales. That's why stores in Canada and the US don't needn't accept legal tender. The relationship between a shopper and a merchant isn't a debtor-creditor relationship. So merchants can ignore legal tender laws, meaning if you have a small store, you don't have to accept Bitcoin. You can choose to accept Bitcoin and offer it as an option, but you are not forced to, right? Shops in the UK needn't accept legal tender either. As the Bank of England says, legal tender has a narrow technical meaning, which has no use in everyday life. Scotland doesn't even have legal tender notes. Europe's legal tender laws are a bit more strict. According to 2010 recommendation, stores can refuse to accept legal tender, but only if they provide a legitimate excuse, such as security concerns about having too much cash in the store, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, legal tender laws are rarely invoked. Every day, millions of debtors and creditors settle billions of dollars worth of debt using non-legal tenders, such as banknotes, Fed wire balances, and other digital dollars. But you notice they go back to that unit of account. That one standard unit of account, that non-permanent currency, as Jeff and I and Emil talked about, that suffices for a specific instance, okay? And that it could be some kind of time duration. But you want to start, I think, you want to start looking at currencies in your mind as impermanent, as these impermanent things that solve a problem, a bucket of problems over a certain amount of time, and then they dissipate, or they become less viable or less transactable or have less utility, and that's okay, right? It's just, remember, having a lot of currency units doesn't make, that's not wealth. Stuff is wealth. Buying power is wealth. Currency units don't mean shit. Look at Venezuela. You could have a lot of currency units and it doesn't mean anything. You can't buy a banana. You could buy a house with it 10 years ago. Now you get a banana. So according to the lawyer's definition of the term, Bukele's desire to declare Bitcoin as legal tender probably is more of a publicity stunt than a substantial change to its monetary status. My guess is, and of course I am, as Brandon informed this morning, cynical. He wasn't calling me cynical. I was looking for the word. Anyway, my guess is he's doing this because he wants to create a tax harbor situation where people might want to come in with some cash, invest it in a place where every other person seems to get murdered or taken hostage or has neck tattoos of like dudes holding axes. So no thanks. I'm not going to any Bitcoin conferences in El Salvador. I won't be going down there. I'm not going to buy any beachfront property. Nope. But it is cool. And what could happen is this could be the first of many. This is still a big deal. This is the first country to do this. This could be the first of many of these, let's face it, banana republics, half-ass republics, currency debasers that decide that they don't want to watch the U.S. continue to debase the dollar. We assume it's coming at some point. Yep. The Mara Salvatruchas. Barno. Salvatruchas. So if you were one of these countries and you were on the dollar, right? You had ditched your currency, you're on the dollar. That means all of the Federal Reserve bullshit, it echoes, matter of fact, it amplifies against you. You can't print currency, meaning you can't really manage your currency. You don't have a liquidity source. There is no there's no counterfeiter of last resort if you're on the dollar standard. And whatever wacky, zany things the U.S. government does, even though we know the Fed's not a central bank, but whatever nonsense that those a-holes do, if they do start printing currency units and they do start showering society with them, and we do see some real debasement, you get punished as a country because there's nothing you can do to avoid it. And the U.S. gets to print those currency units pre-inflation and spend them and then suck the taxes back post-inflation. But what happens to you? What about all your dollar-denominated debts? Well, they would go down. But what about all your dollar-denominated assets? Well, and your dollar reserves, they would all get blown up because your spending power gets reduced. Every new currency unit you create, your spending power, right? Your buying power reduces. So if you were reliant on the US dollar and you left your old currency, might make sense to at least create some off ramps for some of your currency units. I mean, kind of, I was talking to my buddy Ben. This is a lot like a company. Think of El Salvador and all these third world countries. They are third world. Think of them as, and again, it's not always their fault they're third world. The first world countries go and basically pillage. You guys know how it works, but it is what it is. This is where they are. And so you might go, maybe you look at these countries as if they are corporations. And you say, the corporation of El Salvador is decided to put some Bitcoin on his balance sheet. If that's the only reason they did this, other than a little publicity, is that a bad thing? No. So the narrow definition of money by some jerkbag Canadian lawyer doesn't really matter. If they put Bitcoin on their balance sheet and another country puts Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and then 50 or 60 of these mosquito republics put Bitcoin on their balance sheet, it starts to look a lot like what MicroStrategy did and what Tesla did until they cowed to regulators because they want their green energy points, because that's the only way Tesla stays afloat, because it's not a real company. I digress. So it's very interesting, isn't it? It's very interesting. So there are a lot of things at work. And this is not a stupid guy. Bitcoinization. But what if he actually wants to Bitcoinize? I don't believe he does. I don't believe that works. Bitcoin won't work as a currency. It certainly won't work as a national currency. You need currency elasticity. Snyder talks about it all the time. I don't mean to belittle. Jeffrey Snyder talks about it a lot. And that is, you need currency elasticity. Currency needs to be able to expand and contract with the expansion and contraction of society. There are times when you need to pump liquidity, right? When there's a liquidity crisis, you need to come with liquidity. What did they say? It's almost a crime against humanity not to, in certain circumstances like the Great Depression. Go all the way through the 30s, really, 1930s, right? So there are times when you need to expand or contract currency. So simply having a currency or a store of value or an asset with a fixed supply, it makes it good for a lot of things, like store of value, right? What it makes it not good for is a unit of account, right? Because, you know, if the value in relation to these other currencies skyrockets up and skyrockets down based on psychology of what these governments are doing, debasing their own currencies, well, then that asset is not a great, it's a great store of value. It's not a great, account unit. Does that make sense? So you want to square that away in your mind. Bitcoin is not a panacea to all problems. It is a great digital internet savings account. It is a gold 2.0. What it is not is the next currency of the world. That wouldn't even make sense. And it doesn't have the elasticity to that. So the thing that makes it a great store of value makes it a bad, unit of account. So, okay, cool. Is it possible that Bukele doesn't just have the lawyer's version of legal tender in mind? Perhaps he's using the vernacular meaning of the word and wants to give Bitcoin full monetary treatment, which I don't think, enshrining it much like the US dollar was enshrined 20 years ago. A quick glance through El Salvador's 2001 money integration law illustrates how Bukele might go about this. The monetary integration law made a number of pronouncements about the dollar. Article 3 made the dollar legal tender along with Cologne banknotes and coins. The Cologne is still legal tender to this day, but has disappeared from circulation, and the central bank doesn't print it anymore. See that? You see that one statement? The central bank doesn't print it. Well, that's because it's a central bank that had printing power, and it got out of control. Our central bank, the Fed, does not have printing powers. Big difference. Our central bank's not a central bank. The Fed will tell you what they want you to think. They will, through their expectation policy and the compliant media, have you believe they got the printers on. But they've never actually had their finger on the printer. They don't even have the authority to do it. Although you could say this whole scam with Yellen as the Treasury chief, she was such a fail. She just lived in Bernanke's shadow. And anyway, never mind. Okay, but this was just the first step. Article 7 made all salaries and fees payable in dollars or colones. Article 9 stipulated the entire financial sector, bank deposits, pensions, pensions, security prices. Oh, that's another thing. It might make sense that Bukele is looking at the dollar right now and realizing what's going to happen to bail out Social Security and bail out all these pension funds. Remember, somewhere around 43 of 51 pension funds are technically insolvent or will be this year. Social Security, as of March of this year, 3 months ago, was insolvent. It is like Social Security is now insolvent. First time in history. You could say that it was probably insolvent from the very beginning. And more and more people get older and they start taking, and there's less and less people paying into it. Like, it doesn't make sense. You can't just get money out of nothing. So anyway, so these countries may be looking and saying, man, we might not see the money printing right yet, but it has to come. They have to bail out Social Security. They have to bail out these pension funds. And that check is, we did the math a few months ago, and I think that bailout check is going to be somewhere in the tune of about 100 to 150 trillion dollars in unfunded liabilities. And maybe they don't want to eat that in terms of buying power reduction, debasement, and such. So, and it doesn't take a genius to see this. Like, this stuff is coming. We just don't know when, right? Okay, let me continue. Let's see. Article 9 stipulated that the entire financial sector, bank deposits, pensions, security prices, was to be redenominated into U.S. dollars. And Article 10 specified that prices of goods and services were to be expressed in either colones or dollars. This would just, I think, allow Bitcoin to be another way to pay off dollar-denominated debt. Okay. If Bukele wants to take all these extra steps with Bitcoin, it would amount to a big upgrade in Bitcoin's monetary status. It's not apparent yet how far he's willing to go. I don't think he's willing to go that far. This is not that, in my opinion. This is an opinion. This is my opinion. There we go. Even if Bukele gives Bitcoin full monetary treatment, it doesn't solve Bitcoin's core monetary problem. Given the choice between spending their Bitcoin or not, Bitcoiners will generally prefer not to spend it. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't agree with that in third world countries where people are plugging in old miners, because that Bitcoin revenue is more consistent than the Bolivar and things like that. So I think that in a first world country, he's absolutely right. I think the third world story about Bitcoin is completely different. And I think people are spending, they're paying, they're putting, baby formula and food and fruit on the table. So I don't think that's the story. For people in El Salvador that could then be mining and doing things like this. And then what does that look like when you can plug in a miner and mine a national currency? In a sense, like, that's kind of weird, right? As for non-Bitcoiners, Bitcoin's price is too unpredictable to justify having some Bitcoin on hand for making payments. Again, I don't agree. I think that in a first world country, the story is materially different. We'll see. The cool thing is we will see. This has perverse implications. Say that Bukele goes all out and declares Bitcoin not only to be legal tender, but also requires Salvadoran stores and markets to set prices in Bitcoin. That's not going to happen. And accept Bitcoin as payment along with dollars. I think he will allow people in normal commerce to agree to accept and to allow Bitcoin to be used to settle debt if both parties agree. No Salvadorian will choose to take advantage of this feature. Bitcoiners for fear of missing out on a price rise, and non-Bitcoiners for fear of Bitcoin's volatility. I agree with that. To actually become full-blown money, Bitcoin can't depend on the rule makers like Bukele. The change has to come from Bitcoin itself. It needs to stop being that thing that you make millions on into a boring object you're willing to part with, but it's not apparent whether this will ever happen. I'll tell you how that happens. Bitcoin will get to a point where it's expensive enough and relatively non-volatile that people will borrow against it. And that's how you'll spend your Bitcoin. You'll borrow your way out. Cool. Anyway, fun thoughts. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. So that's the story. All right. So now let's do this. We're going to go back into the opinions, man. So let me play my opinion man piece. And then we're going to do a little Q&A. And we're going to decide how many of you here should stay in the market or exit. Okay? And I want the truth.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Huh.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Okay, so got a couple questions for you. We're going to start. Now, everybody's got to be honest. Well, if you're not honest, you're going to get blown up and nuked anyway. So I guess if you're not honest with yourself about these questions, the man will catch you. The man is coming. The man's coming to take all your shit. He's coming to make you sad and depressed and steal all of your stuff. If you can resist the man, maybe. That sounded like the beginning of the A-Team, didn't it? Yeah. Maybe if you can find them. Maybe. Okay. Let's do a little Q&A. Do we want happy? Yeah, we want happy music. Everybody's so goddamn depressed. But we'll get some happy music. Let's start here. Are you, and you can answer in the chat if you want. You don't have to, but you can. Are you investing money in crypto via debt? This is a two-part question. Meaning you borrowed to buy crypto. Do you currently have revolving credit card debt that is unpaid? Okay. Now, let me tell you who can cancel yourselves out. If you borrowed to simply put the money into stablecoin and you're collecting, like you're on Nexo, by the way, the vote went through, Nexo daily interest now starts getting paid. So if I borrowed money at 1% and put it on Nexo to get 12%, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay. Right. 8% leverage is not what we're talking about here. I'm talking about, did you borrow money like credit cards, crap like that you put in crypto? Or do you currently have revolving credit card debt that is unpaid? I see some hell no's. That's good. That's good. Okay, let's see. No's. Good. The yeses aren't going to tell us. You guys know that. I just used grandma's drug money. Steve, yes and no. Investing money via debt. But I'm guessing, Steve, because you say yes, no, it means that you're using it to catch the arbitrage on the interest. Okay. Nah. Uh-oh. Whenever I see a nah is kind of like a yeah. Credit card debt. This is bad. You can't take on credit card debt. It's the worst kind of debt. Okay, no and yes, yes and no. Okay, so let's see. Crypto Gamer said yes to investing via debt, but no credit card debt. Cool. Okay, that's on you guys. Good, you unwound it. What does that mean? You guys need to unwind this stuff as quick as possible. Okay? Question number 2. Let's go find number 2. So you know where you guys are. This is question number. That was just number 1. Remember, if you get a yes on 2 of these, sell your shit and get out. How will I grow my credit? You don't need. What happens next? You don't need to grow your American credit points credit. It doesn't matter, dude. And you certainly can't grow it by having all of your money get nuked in the crypto market. And what this is if you do some of these things, it means that you're making structurally flawed decisions at some level. I'm not saying you're dumb. I'm saying you might be acting in ways that are not indicative of someone with financial prowess. Your crypto IQ, so to speak. All right. Make sure I haven't missed anybody. I'm not good at tests. I owe my wife, but that's another story. Yeah, you're not getting out of that. There's no way to coach that. All right. Next one. Are you using leverage to buy additional risky crypto assets? So believing that they'll go up and pay off this leverage. I'm talking about leverage against your crypto. For instance, Nexo gives you some leverage. Did you use Nexo leverage to buy more crypto? Now, before you answer yes, because I know a lot of people did this, as long as the amount is less than half of your value in Nexo tokens, I would say it's a wash, because you could dump your Nexo tokens and pay off that. But if it's anything more than about half the value of your Nexo tokens, why do I say half? Well, 4 weeks ago when we talked about this, I said half, and the Nexo token got cut in half. You say, where did you come up with that? This isn't like reading a crystal ball or summoning the spirits with the freaking Ouija board. It's just math. You see Nexo on your Nexo tokens. That's basically liquid. you have problems on the other side of the Nexo balance sheet, guess what you just became? You just became your own baby financial institution in the baby repo market. You just dumped one asset to cover chaos on the other side of the balance sheet. Welcome to adulting as a financial institution. You are a baby financial institution, leveraging another institution, a pool of liquidity to offset problems in your balance sheet. You just became a baby banker. Anyway, if you took on more leverage than half the value of your Nexo, so if you have $10 worth of Nexo tokens, if you took more than $5 worth of leverage, you're behaving foolishly, because in some kind of cascading unwind, liquidity will not be there. I did 10% to USDC on Nexo, but out now. Good. 10% is dangerous, Joe. Why? It's dangerous because you're not gaining from that. You say, oh, well, I took 10%, but I parted in USDC. I get a higher reward on the USDC. Yeah, but you have to service that debt. So you're not really winning there. It only works, leverage only works if you can take it from one bucket, put it in another bucket, and the arbitrage 100% makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Many of you, let me see if we got some yeses there. Very little. 30%. Belinda, what the S are you doing? You're going to unwind that, Belinda. You're going to unwind that over the next week. Let's see. 10%. I would forgive it. Use leverage just to learn how it worked. Guess what? You can learn how it works on paper. Professor, you don't need to do it. Just BTC, though. Yeah. And how's just BTC done since you took on that leverage? It got cut in half as of right now. One half from a month and a half ago, from 6 weeks ago. Is it going to be 100K by the end of the year? Maybe. Right now, it's half of what it was 6 weeks ago. So the problem is, and I hope you guys see this, is when you took your leverage. When do people take leverage? When everybody is irrationally exuberant and happy, which is the worst fucking time to take on leverage, because things get ridiculously exuberant. Everybody's super happy. Grandmother's talking. People in the gym are talking about trading crypto, showing each other their fucking Robinhood accounts. That's one of the reasons I started to panic. There's some dude who works on his Trans Am. It's broken all the time. It has different colored panels on it. And he was talking about, oh yeah, man, I'm going deep into this and that. He's talking about crypto like he's been there 14 years. Only crypto hasn't been here 14 years. One of these dudes will be like, yeah, I got in 2006. No, you didn't. Because it didn't exist. Anyway, I started hearing crap like that. I'm like, yeesh. Go to the sidelines. Go to the sidelines. Go to the sidelines. Zero risk. Start unwinding. So Belinda, you need to satisfy that debt. You need to do anything in your power to get back to zero. Okay? Come on. Don't be stupid. That's only number 2. And remember, these are yes or no answers. Start adding up these yeses. 2 yeses equal get out. I know it sounds harsh. It's not harsh. I'm saving you guys years of pain. Listen, I parted ways with one of my bigger clients because he was panicking, behaving irrationally, and in some ways kind of violated a little bit of our fiduciary kind of relationship. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to save both of us. Me, the headache of getting screwed, and him, the headache of actually having freaking panic attacks. So, unwind your leverage, okay? Unwind it. It may be painful, unwind it. And you could say, well, I'm going to wait till the market comes back up. You know what happens when the market comes back up? Then you think it's going to go up again, and you don't unwind your leverage. These little games we play with each other, these sinking markets had to happen. They went up too fast, and there's too many goddamn idiots in the market. Idiots. And until every last dummy dollar is gone, and you don't know where they're at, they're in these random ass coins, Safe Turd and Crap Moon and Super Cat and all this stupid shit. And until every one of these assholes goes back to work, quits getting their government check, gets the fuck off the couch, has to pay for the last 12, 15, 17 months of rent-free environment, starts making their car payment again, until all of this shit unwinds, there are idiots in the market until AMC, a bankrupt ass fucking company, doesn't go up 400% in a week, until companies like GameStop are allowed to go bankrupt without the Reddit vote behind it. And we can say whatever, market mechanics have changed and there's new players and all. No. Bad behavior is bad behavior. We can rationalize it. We can justify it when we're on the same side of it. If you want to go and read Wall Street Bets and trade off of that, go do it. But realize that you're a fucking gambler and you're a degenerate gambler. That's not a trade for fundamentals. Wall Street Bets and Satoshi Street Bets, that's not a trade for fundamentals. That's not a trade for assessing value. You're just gambling with the crowd. Cool, if you want to do that, but fuck off. And just be honest about what you're doing. You're a fucking gambler. If that's the case, sell all of your crypto and go punt that shit into the market. Go punt, go buy GameStop, go buy Hertz, go buy the whole fucking list of meme stocks. It's easy. Go to Wall Street Bets on Reddit. Go read about the memes, the shitty, broken companies that they're going to pump. What's next? Probably Ford. Why? Because it's a junk company. I don't mean junk as in, it's junk bonds. It's bad debt. It has let me see. They took a $6 billion loan, which they just paid debt service on in 2009 to the government. They haven't paid that off. They have anywhere from $200 to $500 million a year they have to cover there. They're not selling that many cars. Oh, great. They have an electric truck. It looks just like the old fucking truck. No one cares, dude. No one fucking cares. That's not going to save them. It's a shitty company run by shitty people. It needs to fucking fail. Those assets need to go to a company or managers or show up on another balance sheet where people do know how to manage a car company. Tesla, fucked up company, terrible. They sell no fucking cars. They need to go bankrupt. What does that mean? It doesn't mean they disappear. It means they get eaten up by another company that is a better fiduciary, a better manager. Elon wants to get us to the moon, the stars, great, awesome. Go do that. Bring in some businessmen to manage business. So if you want to, if you guys are cool, getting in on all the meme shit, go get in on it. But don't lie to yourself. Don't rationalize that that's good behavior. It's not good behavior. It just isn't. And it's cool. And listen, a lot of people will make money off these stupid. There's people I know. I know a dude right now is up like 200 racks on the AMC trade. And I asked him, I said, you think this is a good company? He goes, fuck no. Should be bankrupt. I go, then why are you trading it? He goes, well, Wall Street Bets. I go, but you're gambling. He goes, yeah. Okay. I mean, I can't really say anything to that. He knows he's gambling. He knows this ends. He's already made a good chunk of change and he's okay with it. Does he understand that there's tax liability? No. None of these idiots know. None of these idiots understand there's tax liability to all this. They're just going to play it. They're just going to run it till the wheels fall off. Okay. Good luck with that. So again, question number 2. Are you using leverage to buy additional risky crypto assets, believing that they'll go up and you can pay off this leverage? If the answer is yes, you've probably already hit 2 yeses. Buy. If someone wants to buy Bitcoin from you, hell no. Don't get yourself wound up in some old scam. You're starting to hear that a lot. Hey, this guy wants to buy some Bitcoin Cash. Go to Coinbase, dummy. Go to Coinbase. Oh no, they just want to buy in cash. Cool, go to Coinbase. Go to a Bitcoin ATM and wave at the federal agents that are in the Buick staring at you, dummy. You don't have to cheat. Crypto gives you the kinds of games where you don't have to cheat. You know? You don't need to. Found on road dead, right? Fix or repair daily. There's a bunch of those. Ford is a bad one. Do you know what? They're going to get behind it. They're going to pump it. It's on the list of meme, pumpy, bullshit assets that they're going to pump. Just like AMC, just like GameStop. They were doing it to Hertz, and Hertz was in bankruptcy. It's so absent-minded. But on the other side of it, they're punishing guys for going short. You know what they're doing, right? They're just looking for companies where there's a story, some kind of story, and Wall Street is, some of these big hedge funds are going short. And if they're naked short, they're going after them and they're forcing to gamma hedge and buy the asset to cover the options. They're doing it through options. So it's just it's a market mechanic, issue, which I will say this. It's going to make these hedge funds a lot smarter because they're going to have to, kind of be very careful about their shorts. The problem is if you make it where there are no shorts in a market, you strip the market out of the necessary tools to manage the price of an asset. It can't be everybody loves it, no one sells it. That's not a true market. The Bitcoin market wasn't an honest market until derivatives came. People can argue, oh, that's when Bitcoin went down. That's when Bitcoin was fair. If you can't short it, if all you can do is buy it and it can only go up, that's not a market, right? Everybody doesn't agree, and you should be able to express your belief or disbelief or level of aversion or, reluctance in a trade. And it shouldn't only be everybody in on the plus side. Everybody's hitting the bid. Everybody's hitting the bid. Shorting is necessary. And yeah, shorts are good for the market. Shorting company 150%. Yeah. Now listen, when there's bad behavior, of course that's problematic. And they should get punished, right? But both sides have to be honest about what they're doing, right? You're shorting a company that you know is going bankrupt, so you're taking advantage of your station. You should get punished. You're on the other side of it, taking advantage of a company that's getting shorted, and you're simply going to wreck the short, even though it's a bad company, even though you know you won't own it, because you have a bunch of compliant idiots that will follow everything you say because of the insanity of the masses. That's not good behavior either. Shorting uses leverage because it kind of has to, right? So, just so that everybody understands, when you short an asset, Ford, for an example, I short Ford. That means I have to find someone to lend me the shares. I then sell them with the intention of buying them back at a lower rate. And a simpler mechanism happens in the options market through selling options and puts, things like that. Call options and puts. But the long story short is to actually short, I have to borrow the asset, I sell it, and then I'm intending to buy it back at a cheaper rate. But if the price goes up, there's no ceiling. So at a certain point, I have to start buying back that asset because I have to cover that short. I have to give it back. So how would Wall Street Bet be smarter with their influence then? Well, I don't think a mass of unintelligent people led by a couple of smart people that are looking to game the system is smarter. I think it's dangerous. When in history, Solid Gold, tell me this, when in history has the rule of the crowd ever been a positive thing? I'm sure there's a few examples, but just look back in the recent history. Every time you get a big crowd together and they all go running and screaming, we all have, follow me, we're all mad, change, I want change. When has that ever turned out well? Just give me a few examples. I mean, there are times for people to throw their hands up in revolt, but it doesn't classically work out well. Why? Because is the average person in a crowd all that intelligent? No. Do we really want true democracy? That's two wolves and a lamb voting on lunch. That's right. It just doesn't work out. It's okay that we're not all the same level of intelligence. It's okay that we're not all good at everything. We're good at various things. That's normal. That's human. But we're not all the same. And I don't know if everybody would be a good leader, if everybody would be a good investor, if everybody would be. The whole point is you teach yourself a basic set of skills that allow you to specialize in some niche and hopefully have a life that is not miserable. And some people get way ahead and some people don't. And that's kind of the way it is. But we are not all equal. It is what it is. Let's not split hairs over that. Okay. Moving right along. Let's see. Okay. Let me go back to our questions. Question number 3. Are you emotionally tied to the ups and downs of this market? Do you lose sleep, panic, stress about market conditions? Every one of you a-holes better put yes. If not, then just put L for I'm lying to myself. It is impossible not to be at somewhat emotionally tied to the ups and downs. You see your balance sheet go up and you see your balance sheet go down. You're telling me it affects you not at all? Crazy. See, I even have to answer yes to this. Now, do I panic and make moves? No. Do I lose sleep? No. Do I stress about market conditions? Well, to some level I do, because I have a lot of clients and I want those clients to be successful. And when they stress out, I stress out about unstressing them. So Crypto Gamer 420, good that you are not at all emotionally affected, but everybody else in the world is. Now, how you react to that, that's different. There's different levels of stress, like an ant on your arm. Get off, ant, beat it. Maybe he gives you a little poke. There's different levels of stress, but you got to be honest with yourself. And being a long-term investor certainly helps. And that's part of, as we continue to move through these questions. But yeah. And listen, solid gold, you got BTC and Ethereum in the hundreds, so you're not worried. I know you're not worried, but if you had a choice, would you rather be where we are right now or where we are, 6 weeks ago? Got to be honest with yourself. Listen, this questionnaire isn't for me. I know where I stand. Straight up. I definitely lose sleep. I don't panic. I lose a little sleep. I'm unhappy when my clients are unhappy. I want them to feel safe. And it doesn't matter that I feel okay. If they don't feel okay, vicariously, I don't feel okay. It is what it is. It is life. I like it when everybody's happy. I don't like it when people are sad, depressed, and pissed off and, tightening. They don't want to go out and have fun and all this kind of stuff. And yes, dollar cost averaging helps, but these are bumper stickers you guys are all putting on reality. Anybody that says they have zero emotional attachment to this market, you're lying. So just put a little L. Just say, oh, no, I'm fine, in parentheses, L. So there we go. Let's go to our next question. Are you capable with zero external guidance to navigate this space? No help from YouTube, Twitter, talking heads, idiots. In a vacuum, you alone could manage this entire space. Think about that. And certainly, I think Clubhouse should be on there too. Are you able to do, although you don't hear anything good on Clubhouse, but let's just imagine a world where Clubhouse wasn't a total dumpster fire. Are you capable with zero external guidance to navigate this space? No help from anybody but yourself. It can't be to some extent, though. It's got to be 100%. You have to be 100% capable alone with no help at all. Right? Now, does it mean you can't continue to learn and roll up your sleeves and do the research? No, that's what you should do. It means that you're not ready to be an investor. Because if you're having to leverage other people, unless you're just paying someone to manage your money, that's different. You've entered into a contract for management. That's whatever. Good for you. But if you're not willing to do all this work and be 100% confident alone, so he said, Crypto Gamer, confident in my fundamental data research and technical analysis abilities. Well, if you're 100% confident, you would know that technical analysis is not accurate to more than about 30%. So I would be even less confident. But technical analysis is important because it definitely helps you frame your ideas. And I will give you this. If you've taken the time to research technical analysis, then you've definitely taken the time to do research. That puts you way ahead of the game. Problem is, don't be overconfident about it. You got to be careful with technical. Now, I love technical analysis, but I also always tell myself it's only 1/3 accurate, and then you kind of back off. So that's part of that necessary but not sufficient, right? It's necessary to understand it. It's not sufficient to trade, but it's good to know. Cool. Okay. Research and OCD deep dives are superpowers in the crypto. Yes, but Antonio, let me give you one more. Research and OCD deep dives are superpowers in life. Trofimov, what's up? They are superpowers in life. If you're willing to do the research, how about this? If there's a word that's on your mind, do you just Google it real quick? A lot of people are like, oh, what's that word? Don't say what's that word. Google it. The shit's right there on your phone. Ask Siri. She'll tell you. Say, hey, Siri. And then, God damn it. She always listens. Stop it. Did I Siri bomb you guys? So it is a superpower. That research and deep dives are a superpower. It's a little frustrating, but even baby deep dives. If there's a word you don't know, write it down in your notes, look it up right then. Don't wait. Right then. Knock it back. Don't say, I'm going to go look this up later. No, right then, that second, do it. And then you can start to be capable with zero external guidance to navigate this space with no help from assholes on YouTube, assholes on Twitter, or talking heads. They're just a bunch of douchebags, including me. Don't do anything because Nick says it. You're a fucking idiot if you do anything I say. The only thing you should get from me is just asking more questions. Don't ever do anything some rando dude says. You go and do your own goddamn research, and you make sure that you don't need anybody but yourself. Like literally nobody. And when you're there, now you can sleep at night. Next question. Do you know and can you explain every asset you hold in your portfolio? Let me read that first part again. Do you know and can you explain every asset you hold in your portfolio to your grandmother? And are you willing to hold for at least a year or more? There's several reasons for that. One is psychology. Two is the tax man. So do you know and can you explain every asset you hold in your portfolio to grandmother? And are you willing to hold for a year or more? Interesting. Yes, good. Yes. Make sure you understand these assets to your grandmother and a third grader. That's right. And it's even better if you can do it in English and Spanish. Veritax says, no, I consume lots of different information. A lot of it's garbage, but I've still read and just every day read. Yeah, you just got to read, man. You just got to do homework. There's no way around it. There's no cheat code in this stuff. There just isn't. Okay, and let's go. Our final question. Do you get your trading ideas from YouTube, Clubhouse, Twitter, TikTok? Are you playing meme assets, trying to outsmart the other idiots? We kind of discussed this a little while ago. Right? Not explaining cum rocket to my grandma. Then don't own it. Okay, so you guys know where you're at. If you had a yes to two of these, you don't want to hear it. You're not going to probably pay attention to it because you would have paid attention to these signs long ago. But if you answered two to any of these 6 questions, 2 yeses, even the 2-part questions, if you got a yes in there, that's a yes. If you had 2 yeses, the crypto space is not for you. Now, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. This is the only, they say this is not advice. This is absolutely advice. If you answered yes to any 2 of these questions, get the fuck out of the crypto market until you answer no to these questions. It doesn't mean you can never come back. It means you shouldn't be here yet. It's too early for you. You don't maybe understand the gravity of what you're doing. And you better look at this sheet right here. You better look at these prices. Are you okay? How many of you are going to still be here if we touch $20,000 on Bitcoin? Be honest. Half. Gone. If Ethereum goes back to $1,000, well, there's not many in this group. There's not too many Ethereum junkies here. We all get it. If Cardano goes to 4 cents again, if Polkadot is $3 again, if Matic goes down to 30 cents, Theta at $2, VeChain at 1 penny, gone. Fucking gone. All of you. There'll be 6 people here. It'll be me and 6 people like it was 2 years ago. It'll be me and Jerry and Jared and Brady and Nara and Lance, wherever he is. He'll probably come back. And that'll be it. Because it'll be the people that truly believe that this world will be changed by these assets and not people that are in it to hitch a ride and buy the house of their dreams next week. No. So I'm just trying to do you guys a solid. It's okay if this space isn't for you right now. It doesn't mean you have to go away and not look at it. It doesn't mean that you're not allowed to be a part of it. It just means that you shouldn't have money in the space. You shouldn't have currency units in the space, because my guess is this economy that we're about to go into is nasty. It's nasty. And in an economy, what we're probably approaching, what's the saying? You ain't seen bad yet, but it's coming. They always have a kind of a cool saying like that in those cowboy movies. You ain't seen bad yet, but it's coming. Some old rednecky shit, which means a lot of people are going to get murdered. But I want you guys to have a real soul search, a real come to Jesus, and be honest with yourself whether you should be here right now. And I think for 3/4 of you, the answer is no. So it is what it is. From this moment forward, you have the opportunity to unwind and get on the sidelines and do some research, or unwind and go back to fixed income, or go from whence you came. But you no longer have the excuse. As of today, you no longer have the excuse, oh, I didn't know. You no longer have the right to get sad, the right to lose sleep, the right to whine and bitch and complain and this and that. You're giving up all of that right now, forever. It's okay if it isn't for you. If it isn't for you, cool. Bounce, bro. Bounce. Hit the fucking sticks. There's no crying in baseball. There's way too much fucking crying in crypto. There shouldn't be. You know, this is a volatile space with illiquid assets on illiquid exchanges, many of them corrupt. Look at CoinSeed, corrupt. Binance, super corrupt. Okay? Illiquid assets on illiquid and corrupt exchanges being traded by sketchy ass investors, 90% of which don't know what the fuck they're doing, don't have any fucking clue about finance, period. They don't understand anything. They're betting on bankrupt fucking companies, and they've just come to crypto because they've been sitting on a couch for 12 months. That is not good, man. That is not right. That is unhealthy. It's unsafe, and it's not a real market. And people look at crypto from the outside and say, that's not a real market. It's a bunch of meme bullshit, spammy Wall Street bet. They're right. This is a rot. It is a fucking garbage pile. Because for every Cardano and Polkadot and Bitcoin, there are 16 smeg rockets and Ditcoins and poop trunks and all old stupid shit. This is a stupid space. But in this stupid space of 9,000 plus assets, there's about probably 10 to 12 good projects, and there's 3 to 4 that'll probably, change the whole planet Earth forever, or at least the planet human and the internets and webs and all that. So that's what you're after. You're mining. And you just got to be honest with yourself. Many of you shouldn't be here, and that's okay. Also, many of you are maybe a little bit early, and you'll come back, and that's okay too. But you shouldn't be here right now. But if you stay, from this second on, no more fucking crying in crypto. It's over with. You're here, you eat it. You get beat up, you take your whooping, and you get back in the game. Okay? So today's the day you leave or you stay. And if you stay, then fucking man up. Or I don't even know what the pronoun safe, but the pronoun tolerant version is. Human up. Is that even a thing? Pronoun up, people. Pronoun up. All right. Don't do anything my poor insolvent drunk, strung out of meth grandmother wouldn't do. And you know what? She gets it. One thing grandma never gets is depressed. One, she never gets sober, but she never gets depressed.
Hey, this is the Prophet with Nick Black. It's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain. We here to fix that. You want the news on them new stocks? This where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to Prophet. Hey, hey, you talking to the Prophet? Hey, hey. We talking condos and nice clothes and driving Lambos. I remember them night codes, we couldn't stand those. We tried to drive on them high roads, but had to stay low. Now there's solutions to hard bills we couldn't pay for. I talked to Prophet to get some profit, we couldn't change the top. If it's a stock and I need a cop it, I wait for him to drop it. Ain't no option, let's get it poppin', we chillin' in the trap. I need some crypto, put it in my pocket, by any means I rock. This is the Prophet with Nick Black, it's time to chit chat. You know nothing about blockchain, we here to fix that. You want the news on them new stocks, this where you get that. So go and grab you a nice chair. It's time to sit back and talk to Prophet. Hey, hey, you talking to the Prophet. Hey, hey, you talking to the Prophet.